I took 20 grams of collagen peptides every single day for 30 days. I noticed a bunch of different things. This isn't just about getting my skin to look better. It's about optimizing really the entire biological operating system, because collagen is a framework for so much stuff. So in this deep dive, I'm going to share a bunch of different stuff, but I'm going to share really the benefits that I personally experienced. So we'll talk about a few different things, but the cool thing is we won't just go through the mechanisms in my experience. We'll also talk about the specific science. And then with each thing that I learned and experienced, I'm going to give you an actionable roadmap to properly integrate collagen into your routine. That way you're not wasting money on it anymore, because it can be a waste. You want to use it right and you want to time it properly. And you want to really get results out of it. So let's go ahead and see how you can rebuild your body sort of from the inside out with collagen. It really is interesting. What I noticed was not subtle. It was legit. So after 30 days of consistent high dose collagen, okay, 20 grams per day, these are the 7 major shifts that I observed in my own body. So each of them giving a scientific explanation with it. First thing I noticed is my skin felt more hydrated, and it had a better fullness and like a snapback to it. And it's something that we all see, right? We're talking about those lines, the sagging, the dullness that happens as I get close to 40. Like I noticed that, right? You start to feel like you're losing that fight against gravity in a way. And you also lose fat in your face, right? So over time that just happens. So you spend a fortune on a bunch of creams, but the problem realistically is deeper. I usually caution people, don't just use a bunch of creams. So collagen is literally the scaffolding of your skin, right? It makes up a significant amount, like 75% of your skin's dry weight. So as we age, what happens is our body's natural collagen production declines. So this ends up leaving us with wrinkles. We don't have the same elasticity. So when I started taking 20 grams of collagen, after about 10 days or so, I noticed that my skin was like plumper. You might be able to notice it now. Like my skin, there's more color and just, it's better looking. It had a better bounce. And it really isn't anecdotal either, because there was a 2014 double-blind study that I talked about like 5-6 years ago. It was published in Skin Pharmacology and Physiology, showed that women who took collagen peptides experienced significantly improved elasticity and hydration in like 8 weeks. So this was only 4 weeks and I noticed it. So collagen peptides give you the building blocks, right? They give you the glycine, the proline, the hydroxyproline. These are the aminos that stimulate your own fibroblasts to actually produce more collagen. So the peptides don't give you the collagen, they trigger you to produce more, as well as the hyaluronic acids. That's what gives like the fullness. So if you want to get more out of the skin benefits, the actionable tip here is you want to take it with vitamin C. Okay, vitamin C is great for collagen from a skin perspective. So it's a critical cofactor in collagen synthesis. So without it, it doesn't work. Basically, you can't form new collagen. So like vitamin C supplement is all you really need with that. It's pretty straightforward. The big one that I noticed is that my joints felt smoother. This is a very serious one and something that anyone that's over 30 or 40 really is really going to feel. Okay, so they felt smoother, they felt less achy. We've all kind of experienced that grinding feeling or the stiffness that you get. Like I like to joke sometimes that it feels like I'm working out my joints and not actually working out my muscles. Like I feel like I'm working out my shoulder joint, right? And it's the discomfort that reminds you of pretty much every previous injury. It limits your workouts. It makes it so you just don't have fun with your daily activities. I mean, honestly, it just makes you feel old. So this was a really big one for me. So when you look at the science of it, it makes sense why this worked, because collagen isn't just for skin. We've known that, right? It's the primary component of your cartilage, of your tendons, your ligaments. It's the connective tissue that really cushions your joints. So over time, and as we get older, these wear down, especially if you're an athlete. And I found that usually after a workout, like I'm a little bit stiff, but after this, it didn't happen as much. And there was a study to back it up. And again, I did a video on this a while back too. So I pulled this one. It was a 2012 RCT. So it was a placebo-controlled study in osteoarthritis and cartilage. And I think in this one, it was athletes. It was athletes that had like some joint pain. And they found that just daily collagen just ended up reducing their joint pain after 12 weeks. And again, I noticed it after like 2 or 3, almost instantly. So the mechanism with this is it's thought to be that it provides the raw materials, but also stimulates the chondrocytes, the actual cartilage cells, to literally produce more of their own cartilage matrix. So collagen acts as like a signal. It's not like we consume the collagen and it's magically doing things. It is like a signal for our body to produce more. So if you take your collagen like 30 to 60 minutes before your workout, it gives you this benefit because it gives your body time to break the collagen down into these smaller peptides. So that way they're transported into your joints and tissues, act as a signaling device, and they're ready to be utilized. So like there was an old jump rope study when someone was like jumping rope and the Achilles tendon had like tension, and it would allow the collagen to actually uptake into the tendon, the Achilles tendon more, because the bounce, the actual movement drew it in. Now, a big one for me, the next one that I noticed, gut health is really important. Okay, I suffered from IBS when I was a kid. I've had gut issues the last couple of years. I had a parasite, so it really jacked my gut up. So the big thing I noticed, like less bloating and less discomfort after eating. Okay, so a lot of us have kind of dealt with this. Like you're dealing with the bloating, the inconsistent digestion. But the big one for me, again, is like the uncomfortable feeling after meals. Like after I would finish a meal, it's almost feeling like you have to go to the bathroom, but you can't go to the bathroom. It's really annoying. This can be a sign of what's called a leaky gut, right? It's where your gut lining is compromised, and this ultimately contributes to systemic inflammation. So what you're feeling as that discomfort in the gut is really just inflammation in the gut. But if we look at the science, I can understand why it's such a big one, right? Collagen is super high in glycine and glutamine, and I've done videos on these two things respectively. Great compounds, glutamine and glycine together. So they play really crucial roles in maintaining the integrity of your gut lining. So glycine helps reduce the inflammation, and then glutamine is like a primary fuel source for the enterocytes. So it's like feeding the cells that line your intestines. And when you look at the gut lining, you got to realize like that acts as a barrier. So that prevents all the undigested food and all particles from going into the bloodstream and triggering a full-scale immune response. So even though we don't have like a lot of direct human clinical trials on collagen specifically for like gut barrier integrity, we still know that it has an effect mechanistically because of the glycine and the glutamine. The amino acid profile, it makes sense for that role in gut barrier function. So what you'd want to do with this is mix your collagen with water and just have it on an empty stomach, like first thing in the morning. That way the amino acids can be rapidly absorbed and they don't have to compete with any of the other protein. All right, so they're getting to work on your gut lining super fast. And again, they don't have to compete with other proteins. It just gets right where you need them to go. The collagen that you use is really important too. I use one that is a hydrolyzed collagen. Okay, it is a bovine grass-fed collagen. It doesn't have any flavorings in it. It is super basic and it is clean, and it is the one that I trust because it doesn't have the other stuff in it. It's called Bubs, and I put their link down below. That's actually a special discount. I personally know the owner very well. His name is Sean Lake. He's a super good guy. And because I know him and I trust his products. And because I know him personally, he extended a special discount. So that link is down below. So again, not only do they have a good cause by like donating a lot of their proceeds or their profits to charity, which I think is really cool, there's just a flat out good product, and there's no like hidden nastiness. There's no BS to it. It's just straight up simple and clean. And the price is really good, especially with that discount. So it's in the top line of the description underneath this video. The next thing I noticed, this was a big one, my hair and my nails, but especially my hair. I have decent hair, never really been worried about that, but I spend a lot of time in a sauna. And when I do a lot of high heat sauna, my hair gets super brittle. And sometimes I can literally like break it off. It's awful. And I know that's not good. I know it's not good. I should wear like one of those wool sauna hats. But when I started increasing my collagen, that didn't happen anymore. It was more resilient. And a lot of people deal with like brittle nails, or they deal with like thinning or losing hair. Like it's not fun. And quite frankly, these are just clear indicators of nutrient deficiencies. I mean, there's age-related stuff, but there's also just like, the keratin production is less as we get older, but nutrient deficiencies do this too. If we look at the science with it, hair and nails are predominantly made up of keratin, right? And that decreases as we get older. So collagen isn't keratin. I know some people have said that it kind of is, but it's not. There was actually a 2017 study that was published in the Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology, found that daily collagen peptides ended up significantly increasing nail growth and reduced nail breakage. And the same principles apply to hair follicles and even to skin, right? So we can feel that same kind of thing. So what you want to do with this though, if this is your focus, make sure you're getting enough biotin and silica, because these are actually cofactors. So collagen can't do its job if it doesn't have the cofactors. So collagen's providing the aminos and the stimulus, and biotin and silica actually organize the collagen into the robust matrices and structures. Collagen's complicated. Okay, it actually has to build this scaffolding in the structure, and it needs different signals and cofactors like biotin and silica to help. So make sure you're getting enough of that in your diet or supplement it. Now, the next thing that I noticed, and I have to be very, very clear here when it comes to like my body composition and faster recovery, I was taking a peptide called ipamorelin at the time, which is, going to help me recover a little bit more too. So I definitely think that could have played a role in some of this, but I didn't take the ipamorelin until like later on, and I was noticing improvements before that started. I think one of the biggest things is like feeling perpetually sore and not able to give it my all in my workouts. So sometimes that can lead to people having a hard time building muscle, or just feeling like they're never able to really work out hard because they're stiff and they're sore. But if you look at the science of it, it's a little less obvious, but it's a really powerful benefit. So collagen's amino acid profile, especially again, the glycine again, it has a bunch of metabolic advantages, right? So glycine plays a role in creatine synthesis. So it helps you produce more creatine, but it also helps with glucose metabolism. That's why glycine is really important for people with insulin resistance. There was a trial and it showed that collagen peptide supplementation improved fasting glucose and a bunch of other metabolic markers in people with type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. You may not know this, but I was 300 pounds before. I was very insulin resistant. In fact, I was diabetic and I changed my life, changed my lifestyle, but I still have some of the ramifications of that and collagen helped me with it. So what collagen can do is it can, it contributes to the regular protein intake, but it's more so that it's the specific aminos, the glycine and the proline and the things that are actually helping with tendon and ligament repair, right? So when you're working out, you're breaking down not just your muscles, you're breaking down your connective tissue. So you're potentially reducing the risk of injury. And the best thing is, you're supporting faster recovery so you can get back in the gym more. That's the biggest thing as you get older, is not being able to get as much time in the gym because you simply can't. You don't have the time, but your body won't let you. Now, the actionable tip here, if you want to use collagen for this, you want to consider pairing it with a high quality whey protein or a different complete protein source. There is some recent evidence that came out that shows that there is connective tissue protein synthesis, which collagen strengthens, and then there's regular muscle tissue, right? Protein synthesis. So you want to have whey protein for the muscle protein synthesis and collagen for the connective tissue protein synthesis. I alternated the times that I would take it. Sometimes I would take it pre-workout, sometimes I would take it post. But if this is your main goal, you want to have it alongside your main protein. Okay, that could be very effective for recovery. Now, the next one, this is a really interesting one because the peptide I was taking, ipamorelin, makes you hungry. It's a ghrelin activist. So the fact that I was taking collagen and I felt more satiated and I didn't have cravings is very interesting. But when you look at what people deal with, like constant hunger, like relentless cravings, like this is something that has very few calories that could kind of stop that vicious cycle of the energy crashes too, right? So if you look at the science, like you could easily say, okay, it's just protein's satiety effect. But the thing is collagen doesn't really have all the essential aminos. It doesn't spike that satiety signal the same way like that regular protein would. But what's interesting is that if you look at a study, they found that gelatin, was just a form of cooked collagen, was more satiating than casein, which is the most satiating dairy protein. So the high glycine content specifically might play a role in modulating appetite signals to the brain, but then also the gelatinous attribute and how it affects the gut could be what causes such a reduction in appetite with collagen. So quick, easy way to reduce appetite. So what you'd want to do with this is maybe take like 10 to 15 grams of collagen in water, like an hour or so before your largest meal of the day. This way you're going to preload your system. You might reduce the hunger a little bit. At the very least, you're helping your gut out. Now, this is one that I wanted to throw in there. I can't promise you that this happened to me because I did not get a DEXA scan, but bone loss, especially as we age, is a really big thing. And it's not something that you feel until it's too late. So I wanted to mention this because the evidence is pretty strong. Your bones aren't just made of calcium, right? There's a lot of collagen in your bones. So collagen is what's providing like the flexible organic matrix in which all the minerals like the calcium and the phosphorus are ultimately deposited, right? So without that scaffolding, it's like having concrete without rebar. It would just fall apart. And as we age, that rebar, that collagen declines and it makes the concrete more brittle and breakable, right? There's a study that was published in Nutrients a while back that showed that postmenopausal women that had collagen peptides, like just for 12 months, they had a marked increase in bone mineral density markers. And all they did is change their collagen intake. So this is super important. So I just want to mention this as we get older. I think it's important to note. And you want to pair your collagen with vitamin D, and you want to pair your vitamin D with vitamin K2, right? So while collagen is at building the matrix, the D3 ensures the calcium absorption, right? And then K2 directs that calcium where it needs to go. It's like the traffic cop that's telling the calcium to go to the right place and not go to the arteries. So this is what 20 grams of collagen did for me. That's simple. I mean, how you integrate this into your life is up to you based on what I've talked about. But what I would recommend is that you aim for like maybe 10 to 20 grams per day and start with 10 and gradually increase. Again, my experience at 20 was to kind of test a higher limit of it, but I know people that go up to like 40 and 50 grams. Another thing you want to consider adding in is creatine. And I did a video here that breaks down all the studies over the last 3 years on creatine. It shows you dosing, shows you how to use it, when to use it, debunks the myths. It's all the recent evidence. That's a really good one to watch. So I recommend you check that one out so you can tell your friends that you know everything about creatine and also get the benefits of it. So as always, keep it locked in here on my channel. I'll see you tomorrow.